Hey y'all, happy Monday night. It's time for the Wifey Rehab. I do not own the rights to this music. I hope you guys are excited. I hope that your Monday has been amazing thus far. Y'all go ahead and come on in. Come on in, come on in. I do not own the rights to this music. Let me say that. Hey, Renee Lovejoy. Hi, Stephanie. Welcome to the Wifey Rehab. If this is your first time, I am Nika Arnold Scott, and I host the Wifey Rehab, a live talk every Monday night at 8:05 right here. If you are married, go ahead and drop how long you've been married down in the comment section. If you're single, you can drop that down there as well. If you're engaged, you can drop that down. If you're divorced, you can drop that down. I just want to see who I'm talking to tonight. So I'll give you guys if this is your first time, I'll tell you what the Wifey Rehab is about. The Wifey Rehab is a live talk that I do to help encourage women to stay married, to encourage them to revive, rebuild, and rekindle their marriage. So that's what the Wifey Rehab is all about. That's my mission. I'll be married almost 10 years this coming September, and I have definitely, experience some things that I want to share with women, and I want to be that empowering voice that you hear that says, no, stay married, love works, love is beautiful, love is amazing, and you can make a comeback, you can rebuild. So that's what the Wifey Rehab is all about. So I would love to ask you guys to just go ahead and take a moment to share this video. Tag a wife that you know, tag your sister, tag your aunt, tag your mom, tag your first lady, tag your youth leader, anybody you know that is married or that is engaged, or just any woman that you know, because the Wifey Rehab is about wives, but mostly my heart is women. If you know me, you know that I'm passionate about women. But here lately, since the end of April 29th of this year, I really started talking to wives more, because I realized that in the settings that I was going in, a lot of wives began to gravitate to me and just ask me questions about marriage. I realized a lot of my coaching clients have been married women. So I had to put two and two together and say, okay, well, wow, this is really, a subject that I want to talk about, that needs to be talked about. So that's how the Wifey Rehab was kind of born. So that's kind of the backstory of the Wifey Rehab. So I'm glad that you ladies are here. Thank you so much for joining me again. I would just ask you to just invite some people that you know that's married, that needs to hear this. And I appreciate you so much. Thank you all for joining me tonight. So tonight is going to be something that I recently been reading about and learning about. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but if you are, that's great. If not, we're going to be talking a lot about it. June is my husband's birthday month. Yesterday was my husband's birthday, June 2nd. And so it was so fitting. I realized that as I was planning out my talk, that this month I'm going to be talking about love language and what a love language is. I had never heard of, love language before I started reading the books and really doing the work on myself and on my marriage. So I have discovered that there are actually 5. I did this as if there were 10. There are actually 5 love languages that we and our husbands speak. And in doing this, I realized that because I didn't know what his love language was, what my love language was, I can really pinpoint now where issues in our marriage begin and why. Because of the miscommunication. And a lot of times he just doesn't understand me, or she just doesn't understand me. And I'm discovering that it is because we don't know each other's love languages and what they are. So I'll give you the 5. 1 is words of affirmation. 2 is physical touch. 3 is acts of service. 4 is quality time, and the last one is physical touch. And it's not in any particular order, but those are the 5: acts of service, words of affirmation, physical touch, quality time, and receiving gifts. So it's words of affirmation, physical touch, receiving gifts, quality time, and acts of service. So those are the 5 love languages. And I'm going to also drop a link to a survey that you can take. It's a quick little quiz, and it will help you understand what your love language is and also what your husband's love language is. And so tonight I want to talk about affection in our love tank. And basically what that is that if you think of a love tank, it's kind of like your gas tank in your car. If you don't fill up your gas tank with gas, it's only going to be so far that you're going to be able to travel. So think about your love tank in that way. If you're just constantly pouring out, at some point you're going to become empty. And that's what happens in marriages. I know that's what happened in my marriage, that my husband was pouring out, and he became empty. And I didn't know why. I didn't know why these different things started happening. I was like, what's wrong with you? You know, I started to put the blame on him. But what I realized is that he was working to speak my love language. And because I wasn't responding in the way that he thought I should, that became frustrating, and vice versa. I was thinking that I was doing things that, you know, made him happy and that was filling his love tank. But it wasn't, because I wasn't speaking his language. So now in reading this book and really understanding what love languages are and what my husband's love language is, I now understand what it takes to fill his love tank. And so I'm going to be talking, you know, more about that. Affection was one of the things that I didn't realize. Well, it's physical touch now that I understand what the love languages were, because my husband didn't feel like physical touch or affection was present in our marriage during a certain period of time. And I couldn't understand why. I'm like, I'm here, I'm with you, you know, I don't understand why you have a problem. It is because my husband's love language, his primary love language, is physical touch. And when physical touch or any of these 5 love languages are your love language, when the person that you're with, when they're not giving you those things, they're not speaking your language. It's almost like if your primary language is English and you move to Spain where they're speaking, you know, Spanish, you won't understand the basic communication that they're trying to translate to you because you don't speak their language. So you try to do the motions and writing it down and drawing the pictures and all of this, but there's still a barrier. That same thing happens in our marriages when we're not speaking our spouse's love language. We can get exhausted with, you know, acts of service. And acts of service could simply be, you know, vacuuming or cleaning the house or cooking and different things like that, right? And if that's our spouse's love language and we don't understand, you know, their language, then that's when miscommunication and frustration kind of sets in. So that's the part of my husband's love language, which was physical touch, that I really had to understand. And when I speak his language, that is what makes him feel loved. That is what makes him feel appreciated, because I'm touching his head, or I'm touching his hand, or I'm touching his shoulders, or I'm massaging him. To him, because physical touch is his love language, he felt loved, he felt appreciated, he felt like I was giving him the attention that he wanted or needed from his wife because I was speaking his language. Even though, you know, I could have been cooking, cleaning, doing all of these things, all of, you know, acts of service, you know, giving of gifts, things like that, you know, but he appreciated it. But it was like, it didn't make him feel loved. It was only when I really started speaking his love language and making efforts to speak his love language, things began to shift in our marriage. So these 5 love languages are so important, you guys. Again, I will link the link in the comments, in the comment section, so that you can take the quiz with your spouse. I thought it was just so fun and, just refreshing to get another insight, because in marriage it's all about the work, and the work just isn't keeping the house clean or making sure intimacy is there, and making sure you text or call or follow up or any of that. Is so much more. And I'm realizing that the more I dig into this, the more I'm discovering even about me, and what my love language is and why I get frustrated, because I really didn't know. And understanding what your love language is all about self-love. That's what this is about primarily. It's like loving yourself, understanding who you are and what you need. In the last video, I talked about, what do you need more of? What do you need to give more of? And that is so poignant for our love languages. What do you need to give more of? You need to give more of your spouse's love language, right? And that will open up so many more doors. That will transform your relationship when you understand what their love language is, and then they'll begin to also understand what yours is, and you can communicate that. So 5 love languages is what our focus is going to be for this month. Again, they are words of affirmation, and that is not just saying, oh honey, thank you, or you're so sweet, or I appreciate you. It's I appreciate you for, or thank you for. Those are examples of what words of affirmation are. Not just, ooh, you sexy, you look good today, babe, you smell good today. No, words of affirmation for your husband would be, baby, thank you for always, answering my call, when I call you. Or baby, thank you for always putting the dishes away, after I clean the kitchen. I really appreciate that. Those are examples of words of affirmation. Physical touch is pretty self-explanatory. It's outside of intimacy. It's holding hands. It's, touching and rubbing and, just touching your spouse in a non-sexual way. Let me just say it like that. And the receiving of gifts is just pretty much like, okay, if you are out and about and your husband or your wife says, oh man, I really could use, some inserts for my shoes. I don't know, or my feet hurt, blah, blah, blah. And you may make a mental note of that and say, okay, well, she needs some inserts or he needs some inserts or whatever, and next time you're out, you're like, oh yeah, let me get these inserts. That would be an example of receiving of gifts that is your spouse's love language, right? That's just an example. And quality time. And I'm not talking, I believe in quality over quantity, right? And quality is just putting your phones away, no distractions or anything like that. And you guys are just talking, pillow talk, walking in the park talking, or, driving in the car and you're just, having a conversation. That's quality time, right? And it's not just, being in the same room, but really attentively listening to your spouse and what they're saying. Quality time, okay? And then acts of service. Acts of service for you could be making sure you have gas in your car, making sure your car is washed, making sure, your car is vacuumed out, or, whatever, or making sure the bedroom is clean, or, the house is clean. I know my husband is he loves to clean, right? And that's his, I believe, a secondary love language that he has, because he loves to make sure that we have a clean house. And you would think that it would be me, but that's just his love language. That's how he serves. So he appreciates when I assist with that, or just not make a big mess. But that's one of his love languages. So you can have many of the love languages. It doesn't have to be just one. It could be a few of them. So again, the 5 love languages are words of affirmation, physical touch, receiving of gifts, quality time, and acts of service. So for the month of June, we're going to be focused on the love languages. Today I kind of touched on a little bit about affection, and how affection, if that's your spouse's love language, how that fills their love tank and all of that good jazz. Also, because this is my husband's birth month, I said that earlier in the live. I'm going to be doing a 21-day love challenge, and that is just showing and intentively paying attention to what your spouse's love language is. I'll be linking that link below so you can take the quiz and see what his love language is, and you can see what yours is as well. So basically you share it with each other. You have him take it and you take it. That way you guys can kind of see what each other's love language is, and I promise you'll be able to pinpoint, like, man, yes, okay, I understand now. I understand why you get so frustrated when this doesn't happen, because I haven't been speaking your language. So I just wanted to, put that out there. I'll be linking later on tonight the information for the 21-day love language challenge. That's all it is. I'm just encouraging you to actively participate in your marriage and take action in your marriage and find out what his love language is. And I promise you, this will change your relationship. And you can apply these tips that you find for your love language to all relationships. I promise you, it will be transforming in your marriage. I promise you. So I'm going to link that below. Please join me on the 21-day love challenge. I'm doing that in celebration of my husband's birth month. All month long, I will be intentionally doing things that I know speak and communicate what his love language is. So I'll be linking that later on so you guys can take that quiz. You can join me on the 21-day challenge. Share this video, like it, comment. Let me know how long you've been married. If you're single, if you're newly married, or wherever you are in your relationship, let me know. This is Nika Arnold Scott, and this has been the Wifey Rehab. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I'll be sure to put those resources down below. Please make sure you share this video, and I'll see you next Monday night at 8:05 for another Wifey Rehab video. Peace.